Welcome to the Microsoft Security Insights Show. The show streams live every Wednesday on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and streamed directly into your ear the following Friday across all popular podcast networks. Hosted by Edward Walton, Andrea Fisher, Rod Trent, and Brody Castle, the Microsoft Security Insights Show provides information, news, and tips on Microsoft security solutions.
Recorded April 12th, 2023. Good afternoon, Andrea. Good afternoon, Brody. Good afternoon, Roderick. How's everybody doing?
Good afternoon. I'm in the greatest mood ever. I got my hockey team, and they're in the playoffs, baby. Going all the way, playing the parade.
Oh, okay.
The Jets are a hockey team?
Winnipeg Jets, baby. Gruesome game last night, got out of control. Yeah. Multiple fights, suspensions are handed out, but we're in.
They'd at least be original with the name.
Is that a real thing, or like the minor leagues or something?
It's the National Hockey League. Maybe you've heard of it. Atlanta used to have a team twice, but you're a terrible fan, so you left.
I'm gonna put you in the box for icing.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can't go in the box for icing, Rod.
It's 5-on-1 now. Hey, Andrew, how you doing?
Actually, I am just not feeling very energetic today, so y'all will have to forgive me if I'm a little quiet. I went to the orthopedist this morning because my shoulder's been bothering me, and the doctor, who was older than I am, had the audacity to say to me, "Well, that kind of stuff happens when you get to your age." I was like,
And he's alive to see the next patient right after that? Did he survive?
I was in shock.
Did you compare IDs? Is that how you knew that he was older?
Oh, I could tell he was older.
Let me tell you something.
I mean, look at this skin.
The old Andrew I knew would have pulled the needle out of her arm and stuck it in his neck and drug it across.
But I did get a cortisone shot, and maybe that's why I'm feeling low energy. I don't know. But I will try it, TRP 8472.
Yeah, I'm dragging too. I got a shot yesterday, and it's just hurting. I actually took some Advil, some of the not swollen up, so it sucks. But anyway, I'm glad you powering through and coming on the show. We need you here. Brody, what did you break this week?
What did I break? Edward, I'm in the business of crushing it. All right, just so you know, I've got something so cool lined up. I am going to be helping the Canadian federal government understand Microsoft's zero trust strategy and capabilities around all pillars and data especially. It's going to be the greatest project ever. I'm super excited. I can't wait. It's going to be like a up until December project, and I'll be like co-leading it. Couldn't be happier right now. So that's going to be really cool. A lot of exposure to some really interesting stuff in the public sector space. And I think I'm going to be joining the worldwide security community leadership team. So right now I co-lead the Americas time zone one, but there's been some openings. So internally at Microsoft, you'll be stuck with some more Brody in your faces. That's the idea.
Never have enough Brody. Always
never enough
Brody in your faces.
That's
I think I was co-lead on one of those worldwide communities. This is actually, I thought it was going to be a heavy lift. I did it just so it looks good and connect. It was actually fun. You get to meet a lot of people. Right.
Well, yeah, you do. And like, this is another way to meet a ton of people. Like Richard Diver and he's been helping me. He's an awesome guy to have as a colleague and a mentor now. We're talking all the time. Like, it's the people you meet through here. It's unbelievable. Oh man. And I had the best conversation with Liz, our previous guest on the greatest show ever today. Like, we are now best friends.
Obviously you calling her Liz and not her proper name Elizabeth, so you must be best
I asked her Liz is cool. I don't want to call her by her call sign. It's a bit borderline, but anyway, I'm having a really good day. If you're listening out there, learning security products, technology, super important, but spend some time in network in your organization or in your community, wherever that is, because you never know when that's going to come around and help you in your career, which will allow you to have even more impact and help secure the planet. So a little shout out there. Don't forget networking. Very important.
Networking is important.
Networking is absolutely
and be Canadian, because Canadians are the nicest people in the world.
Yeah.
Unless we're playing hockey or we're driving on the highway.
They would definitely network you with their routers. So, Mr. Trent, what about you?
Yes, sir. What am I doing? Oh, yeah, right. My life has been over the past 3 weeks now, all day, every day, artificial intelligence. Hopefully, about 6 months from now, we can talk more about it, but about things I'm working on.
Sweet. I've
I'm
heard
not a developer, but I tell you what, I am working on a public-facing rod bot where you can go in and throw in a Q radar detection and it'll turn it into a Microsoft Sentinel detection. And I have the back end all ready to go. Like I said, I'm not a developer, but the front end is being developed as we speak. I'm not very good at it, but it may look like crap, but it'll do the job. Today, everybody knows our really, really good friend, Lara. I almost said Laura. She's going to hate me.
Good job.
I know. She's going to hate me eventually because I always mess up her name. Lara Goldstein, who's been on the show a couple times, and recently she was here last month. Her and I did a Learn Live together today for Defender for Cloud, so that was fun. She's always fun to do things with. What else? This is MISA month, right? We have a lot of partners on this week as we lead up to RSA. We have obviously really interesting partner on today, which we'll introduce here in a little bit. But next week we have Senserva on to talk, and I, like I've said, it's kind of the lead up to RSA. It'll be interesting next week because Senserva is not going to RSA this year. They're going to an event that I'm going to at the end of this month in Minneapolis, so I'll actually see them there. So we'll discuss why they're not going to RSA and all that good kind of stuff. But they're still MISA members. I think that's about it from me. Like I said, it's AI all day, all night.
Yeah, I was talking to you about it, and like I got to get more ingrained into that genre, that line of thinking, that bandwagon. I even said the same thing to Andrew. I like, how you two are staying abreast of this, and me and Brody are falling behind.
Whoa! I'm basically an AI genius. I don't know what you're talking about.
Can we get our guest on?
No, we haven't talked about what you broke, obviously.
Yeah, what did you bring to this conversation?
I actually bring nothing. I just realized I'm a salesperson.
Well, we knew that already.
We're all salespeople.
Evidently, I did.
E7 come out, or E9? Can you give us the inside scoop?
This year.
Okay, all right, sweet.
Yeah, so everybody, and we're going to do some name changes too.
How much is Security Copilot going to cost?
It's going to be per user cost, and it's going to be $1 zillion.
That's what I thought. Somebody asked me this week, how do I install Copilot? And I kept, so which Copilot is it? Do you want Security Copilot? Do you want Bing Copilot? Do you want Office Copilot? Do you want GitHub Copilot? And then somebody, I had forgotten one. What's the other one? Now I even forget that one. No, it's not. I forget. There's another Copilot. Everything's going to have the name Copilot attached to it eventually, just like Defender and all the other products like that.
I know about a secret one that I can't even say it, but Jacques showed it internally and he alluded to it. I'm like, oh my goodness, when that thing is live, it's going to be absolute game changer.
So I've seen that. It is pretty awesome.
Okay.
Big shout out, Jacques.
Jacques, come back on the show, probably. Big technical person. We need more technical people on the show down the road, right? We need like level 600 experts coming on.
Because I'm not.
I know what the name of the other one's going to be. It's Copilot. That's French for Copilot, by the way.
That's nice. It's nice for us to be
expanding.
Copilot. Oh, that's yes. I don't have.
You forget Andrew speaks French, so you just butchered the language. Like what? That is not French for Copilot.
All right, let's bring Drew in. He's like, what did I get myself into?
Who's Drew?
Drew? Isn't that Drew? The past tense for draw?
What is draw is his brother. Drawn is his cousin.
I'll take Drew.
So we there we go. Since Rod, this is your guest. I would absolutely butcher the company name. You saying it one way, I'm saying it a different way. I say Ontinue, and you were saying something else.
Well,
maybe
I think
tell us how it's going.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So, I'm Drew Perry from Ontinue, former CEO and founder of Tiberium, but Ontinue is how you say that name. Yes, there is a lot of confusion out there, but we can debate it all day, but there is one way to say that. Yes.
We only have an hour, Drew, so we'll just call it like it is. Yeah.
And there's no wrong way to say it as long as people know about the company, right? Who cares what they call it? Just use our products. Yeah. So, Drew, welcome. I have to say, just to kind of start out, this is kind of where I want to start with this, because you and I were together around this exact time last year at RSA, you and some of your other colleagues. And I thought it was super interesting. And I really want to talk about this because a lot has happened with you and your company over the first time that I met you in person. We were at RSA last year together, we hung out a little bit at the MISA event and all kinds of stuff. So that was super awesome. But at the time, you were another company and you weren't even at RSA as a company in the expo. Or tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so at that point in time, we were Tiberium. So we were a small startup of 15 people, focusing very much in the MXDR space, so managed services. Our differentiator was all about automation and collaboration. So building out automated Sentinel capabilities, leveraging the entire Microsoft security stack. So full-on Power Platform, logic apps, function apps, building out these capabilities to deliver an MXDR service was something that was a little bit different. And that was delivering it all through Microsoft Teams. So none of this another portal, sending emails, anything like that. It was all about adaptive cards, tabs, shared channels, all of it in Teams. So we were a small group of 15 of us. We'd managed to build up a customer base of about 20 customers at that point in time. And we went off to RSA with a joke of saying, we're going here to scope out our new office. And we were like, we're here looking, we're seeking. But actually, we had a very critical meeting while we were there with a company called Open Systems. And we met the executive team. We discussed a shared vision around where we could take Tiberium, where we could take this differentiated service, focusing on automation, collaboration, and prevention, hardening endpoints, rolling out attack surface reduction rules, all that good stuff. And that discussion turned into us being acquired by Open Systems. So being a MISA Excellence Award finalist that year, our lead threat hunter, Mina, she was a finalist for that. We were at the award show. After that, the discussions continued. And here we are, a year later, closed the deal 6 months ago. Relaunched the company, relaunched the brand as the debatable name of now Ontinue. So we're now focusing on non-stop SecOps to take that vision globally and continue to roll out these very different MXDR services to a much wider audience. So yeah, it all kind of started at RSA. It started when we were having the chat and where we met up. So yeah, interesting.
Kind of like a whiplash moment for me, to tell you the truth. When I saw that you had been acquired, I thought, well, I knew you guys were great already, but then that was just crazy. And you talked about the awards. We were at the awards banquet together last year. Mm-hmm. It's going to be in a super awesome place this year. That's what makes me so sad I'm not going to be there. I guess we can't talk about the venue or something like that, but it's like one of my favorite places in San Francisco. But you're also on the list for an award this year, right?
Yes, I should probably know the finer details of that. But yes, we're up for the Security Innovation Award, and I think it's a Customer Success Award as well. So two category finalists this year in the MISA Excellence Awards again. So very, very proud to have last year Open Systems won MSSP of the year. And then again, to replicate that in the innovation space and the customer success space is incredibly proud moment. So I think we're doing something right.
I would say so. Yeah, it was that's the thing that's interesting to me. Just the stark difference between last year and this year. And, you all have taken advantage of those connections that you made. RSA is a really good conference. There's some people that, it's too, high level, too exec level type of conference, but there's a lot of connections and a lot of opportunity and value that can be had there.
So yeah, it wasn't just the RSA side. I think it was that MESA membership aspect of that, that joint up community, getting that exposure and that access to, other partners and collaborating with them, and just the awards, it worked out very well.
So I'm familiar with open systems. I'm asking, is Paul Kelly still around?
Yes, as of recently, possibly not.
Okay. He was.
Let's not ask that question then.
Okay, that's nice. Well, he's cool. I mean,
he's a
like
great guy.
He's a great guy. Especially you get a little wine in him. So my question is to you is that Tiberium was there. You were chatting it up. Ontinue was a spinoff from Open Systems, and they acquired you. You told me what your superpower is. Are you the cornerstone of this spinoff, or is your company augmenting something they were already doing?
It was a full-on joining of forces. We tackled a problem from one end, they tackled it from another. So where we tackled the sort of burden, I guess you could call it, of benign positives and false positives that appear in a Sentinel queue or an alert queue in a SOC, we'd automated a lot of that. We had built the playbooks, we built the logic apps. We called it Frost. And Frost was our customer's tier 1 analyst. Dealt with the noise, saved 2 days of analyst time per week. Really good. Open Systems, on the other hand, had an incredibly smart and powerful data science team. So they had tackled the true positives and that end of the scale. So then when we bring that together, it was just the perfect match in that point. So I wouldn't say we were the cornerstone of the service going forward. It was definitely a joining of forces from both ends of that scale there. So it just made a lot of sense.
You talked about... I'm sorry.
Vitally important question for you here, Drew. Was Tiberium named after the second greatest starship captain, James Tiberius Kirk?
Second greatest.
It was not. No. I actually got the inspiration from Command and Conquer. And it was one of the reasons why we couldn't stick with the name going forward. We owned the trademark for it for, computer services, managed services, but there was always that pending, will Electronic Arts come after us for using this? So no, it was after Command and Conquer. The full story of it is Tiberium it was a sought after resource. It was a rare resource. Two factions would go to war over it because it was so in demand and so needed. So that was the founding story of it. It was, I guess, also not good for you because technically it's poisonous.
It's poisonous. It came from meteorites or something. Yeah, that's
right. I played the game. It takes up a lot of time. I had to break that habit.
Oh yeah, I think that's the game that got me to get my mom to buy cable internet because I would take up the phone line with dial-up, playing this with my friends, and then mom's like, "I hate this. I can't get any phone calls," and so I get her on like the advertisement channel about cable internet. I'm like, $50 a month, Mom. You want your phone back? And then you're enabling your technology professional son. So thank you, Command and Conquer, for helping me convince my mom to cable internet.
So Drew, you've told me about Tiberium. You told me about Ontinue. You told me that, you guys come in and you solve a problem around XDR and all of this. Well, you told me you can fly. How do you fly? What problems are you solving? And how do you do it? What's your technical acumen here? So, because now we're hearing this, but I want to understand, how do you do it? What makes you or makes Ontinue like, hey, this is why you need to do us, and this is how we do it? Give me that.
Yeah, I guess it's really understanding the customer's environment, really collaborating with them in real time. It's going to sound cliche, but it's the fact that we've built this and deliver this through teams. It makes such a difference. It's building rapport with the customers to really understand their environment, to see what the alerts are, automate it, work on those preventative controls to stop the incidents occurring with our, what I guess most places have, an expert team, but delivered with real passion. automating as much as possible. We're doing this in a slightly different way. Most MSSPs, they might spin up Sentinel, they'd get onto that, they'd get alerts, but they don't care about things like total cost of ownership or optimizing spend and making sure a customer's using basic log tables and archives, not just keeping it in expensive log analytics or, leveraging Power BI dashboards to deliver this, or building something into a Power Virtual Agent to have a bot deliver it. It's using all these little pieces of the Microsoft stack in a sort of low-code, democratized way to execute an idea fast. So when we have new features, when we have new capabilities, when Microsoft rolls out a new feature, a new capability, we get onto that really quickly. So it's all about that speed of execution and that fast development. And I don't want to use a marketing cliche, but our term of that non-stop SecOps, it's that constant development. That's what makes us different. We are always developing, always pushing forward, and really making sure our customers are using the best of the tools to their full advantage. So yeah, that's kind of our superpower and how we do things a little bit differently.
What's the ante to get in? E3, E5, E7, E9?
Whatever Copilot requires. Hey, there we go.
Okay.
No, so there is no licensing requirement apart from having Defender for Endpoint. So if you have got Defender for Endpoint in place, you're good to go. We can leverage, if you have Sentinel or not, that doesn't matter. We automatically deploy Sentinel at the time of onboarding. We're up and running within about 45 minutes of initial onboarding with talking to a global admin and subscription owner, and away we go. So that base level is, if you've got Defender for Endpoint, we're here to help. If not, we can very quickly help you to get to that point as well.
It's very interesting you said you can have Sentinel or not as long as you're using Defender. Cool.
Sorry, I say Sentinel or not, but still on the path to Sentinel, because we will automate the deployment of Sentinel. We will roll that out into the customer's tenant very rapidly at the time of onboarding. So they still have to be committed to the journey of having Sentinel as their cloud native SIEM.
So without giving away your guys' secret sauce, your IP, it sounds like you must have a process that onboards zero cost ingestion sources, because if I'm a customer and you roll out Sentinel in my environment, and and start setting up, log collectors and data start dumping in there, that could be problematic. So it seems like you have a template that you roll out.
There's two ways we deal with that. We can either deploy just the free log sources. We used to have a service that's specifically catered for that back in the Tiberium days. We don't actually do that anymore. What we do is give our customers and prospects on the journey to Sentinel and Defender a view of their total cost of ownership. So during the discussions, we send them to a Power Pages portal, which has a nice bot and form that they fill in. They tell us about their log sources, whether that's on-prem firewalls, number of VMs, number of endpoint users for the device events table, all of that information. And then we feed that into our sizing calculator. And then we spit out at the end of that a monthly Sentinel spend estimate. So we get them to commit to that and be aware of the costs they're getting into before they commit to our managed service. So that's just that transparency of there are Microsoft costs associated with that in conjunction to the managed services. So it's just about that full transparency, that full ownership there. So no, we don't just deploy the free log sources and turn those on, even though we could. There's much more value in having that wider discussion around relevant log sources that have analytics rules that are useful for threat hunting, or you might need to store for compliance reasons. So yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than what you described there.
One more question. I don't want to monopolize all the questions. We're getting a lot of partners on, both because of this is miss a month, RSA, and everything else, but we generally try to get partners on, and they talk about their offerings and everything. But let me ask you this question about you guys here. So when you're deploying a customer and you're bringing them on, and you're the MSSP, and you're claiming your thing is doing it inside Teams. Are you now expanding Microsoft Teams to become the incident response portal for all the things that you do?
Yes, it is in that sense. So that is, we call that Ion Engage. So actually the platform is called Ion. We've got a instant response engagement process as part of that. So a customer can actually trigger on a 24/7 basis to get us on a Teams call within 10 minutes if they have like a high severity incident or there is a high severity alert that hasn't been closed by automation. Then we get our cyber defenders to jump on that Teams call, start collaborating with the customer, working through that incident all the way to the end there. So yes, it is also that instant response kind of immediate access integration platform as well. So long story short, yes.
Okay.
I like that. I work on the Insider Risk Management platform, and there's ways if you're starting up a new Insider Risk Management case that it can automatically build like a Teams channel for appropriate individuals to start collaborating. So that kind of reminds me of what you're talking about, where things come up, we're collaborating. Yeah.
So that's what the original Sentinel integration with Teams was that playbook-based logic app that would spin up a dynamic Teams channel on the back of an incident. Now, the difference with us is we use Teams Connect. We use shared channels. We've already got that channel initiated. We send an adaptive card to that channel with an automated response action to click a button to isolate an endpoint or block a user or block a hash after it's gone through that enrichment process and that investigation process. So the channel's already there. We don't need to spin it up. And that's that real-time aspect of responding to an incident, responding to an alert, or having that response already happen as a pre-approved action. So for some endpoints, if there's ransomware detected on it or a multi-stage incident or something of high severity, we would just automatically isolate that and then send that output to an adaptive card in an already established Teams Connect shared channel for that customer. So that integration's already all there.
So it sounds like you have to federate between environments and then also use B2B collaboration to be able to have channels that can populate across both sides.
Yes. So we've got federation's already there with Teams Connect anyway with the external identities. That's all pretty straightforward. We set up we used to use service principals. We used to use bearer tokens and ways to get the permissions to do these actions in the customer's environments. But all of that's taken care of in that initial kind of onboarding phase, that first sort of 30 minutes where we deploy everything for all the right permissions with the granular controls to take all these actions and do it all from there. Permissions is always the biggest burden because we always had a million ideas we wanted to do, but we'd always be stopped by permissions because we didn't want global admin. We didn't want we didn't want privilege. We wanted to keep it locked down as possible and then dynamically assign it as required. We hit some limitations in the security graph API, but I'll leave it at that.
PIM, I'll give you guys a free. PIM groups, managed identities for API, granular permissions. There you go.
There we go.
I'm struggling so much with customers, literally talking to one today about, automating responses. They're just so hesitant, to disable a user or something, right? I don't know if they're afraid that they're going to get in trouble because it wasn't a real incident. What are you doing to convince people that, automating your response to incidents is the right way to go about?
Great question.
Well, interestingly, when we started Tiberium, one of our core differentiators beyond that automation, collaboration, prevention was the story of the response, the isolating the endpoint, the knocking them off the network. And actually what we found is, you're right, customers they talked about wanting to do that and they say they want to do that, but when push comes to shove, they weren't quite comfortable with that. So what we've done is found a balance now going forward. During onboarding, we do a rules of engagement. So we really define the asset model, define what is okay to do isolated actions on based on the alert, based on the thing we're investigating. So we would never do something like knock a domain controller offline or a web server or something like that. But we would very happily, and I've always been an advocate for this, just block a sales and marketing machine or just block an endpoint or a laptop and ask for forgiveness later, because we've got the history to look back to say it has to be a high severity alert. It has to be under these conditions. We get this happening once or twice a month per customer, so it's quite rare. So it's not like it's problematic in a false positive way that we're just isolating endpoints every other day and it's becoming a problem. So I guess the way we get our customers comfortable with that auto response action is just showing them that we don't just do that straight away. We kind of have that tuning period and that comfort period to say, here's how many high severity alerts, here's how many times. It's the equivalent of putting an attack surface reduction rule in audit mode instead of block mode. We put our automated responses in audit mode for a period, and then we show what would have happened once a week, a couple of times a month, and show that it is okay to do it. But still, for certain assets, certain scenarios, for certain actions, not just blocking and isolating an endpoint or a server, depending on any alert that comes in. So just a bit more thinking and comfort behind it, I guess, is the way we've achieved that.
Thanks.
Yeah, and customizing for each customer, I'm guessing, right, Drew? Every customer has a different comfort level with what they want to isolate and when. So, yeah.
Absolutely. That localized knowledge of every customer. So showing that we're understanding their risk appetite, their level of comfort of automation, and then tuning the automated responses based on that, definitely.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, Rod.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, Andrea's customers would hate me. I'm always the one that goes in and says, if anything is suspicious, cut it off. I don't care who it is.
It's
I'd rather be wrong than compromised.
That's exactly our story. I've always owned up to the fact that if we have a customer and we knock off someone, talk to me. Like, call me up if you've got a problem with that. I will happily say, would you have rather X, Y, and Z from a threat actor compromise perspective? I will always back up, isolating by default. And I've fought for that a few times and I haven't lost the battle yet. Because people do understand that the real, ask for that forgiveness type of thing, because the real situation these days, with the level of technology we have, with the backstops we've got, with the power of, say, air investigations, isolating machines, Defender being where it's at now, we've got all the backstops to really back up if something bad really did happen. So, yeah, I just say just block it.
And the goal is here, right? So we're talking about customers that might be early on in that journey to become secure. The hope is that by the time 6 months from now or a year from now, they're mature in their security posture, so that we're not locking things out every 5 minutes at that point, because they're a little bit smarter, educated a little bit better because of the things that we've done over the past 6 months.
Yeah, I think that is also something we do a little bit differently, is that prevention piece, actually working with our customers to improve their Microsoft Secure Score. So we have a target for all of our customers to achieve an 80% secure score. Nice. Not always possible. When it drops below that, we look into it, work with them to get that back to that point, if we're lucky enough to get them to that point. But you're right, over time, their maturity grows, that score increases, we learn, we develop, and they get to a more secure state. So there's less likely to have that high severity alert or incident occurring where we would need to isolate a machine. So it is a journey, yes.
Good, yeah. Good. And is that consulting services on top of the managed services?
No, that's fully built into the ION platform and the managed services. So that is fully part of it. I think that's the difference these days between what we used to call an MSSP or an MDR provider and a fully, truly modern MXDR provider, focusing on that prevention. Why would we're both invested in securing the environment. It's going to relieve the burden of our analysts, and it's going to reduce the likelihood of compromise. So why would we not do that prevention piece? And that's a big area that we're focusing on.
I love that.
So within the cybersecurity landscape for what, nefarious threat actors, are you seeing that your services are mostly being utilized on traditional data center where servers are still residing on metal, even though it may be virtualized? Are they attacking, cloud-based resources with the same enthusiasm? Meaning, if the endpoint in itself is in the cloud, it has an inherent amount of security based on the platform that is on, but on premise, all bets are off. So where are you seeing most of the time when you have to intercede? Is it because of cloud resource or workload or on premise?
It really depends on the customer and where they're at on the cyber maturity journey and their, I hate the word, digital transformation. Some are more on-prem, some are seeing like attacks from USB-borne malware where they haven't blocked USB devices, and you're still getting some weird JavaScript that's running on that calling out to a C2. We've seen that time and time again for certain customers. Others have embraced more Azure services. They're still not locking down because they've got development teams spinning up VMs and exposing them to the internet, and they're getting popped. So we've got both ends of the scale there. So it really depends where they're at and how much we've helped them. But at the end of the day, it's still users clicking on phishing emails, as always. And that comes back to us needing to put more effort into helping our customers optimize their Office 365 configuration to stop the phishing emails arriving to begin with, or getting them to use, zero-hour auto purge or ZAP for Office for Defender for Plan 2 and getting that implemented so it deals with it. But yeah, to answer your question, it depends on the customer. Some are much more legacy and we need to help them more. Some have cloud infrastructure and they're not doing things in a best practice way. And no matter what, threat actors are finding their way in, but the tools and technology are stopping things becoming an incident. They're stopping it earlier in the chain. So that's the positive from that story.
So my next comment / question is going to definitely resonate with my co-host Andrea here. You got all these things going. AI, this, automation, so and so. Are you the good partner? Are you the consultative partner that says, are you patching? Because you got to patch. Are you guys helping with that? Talking to these customers, because everybody thinks patching is becoming obsolete because you got all these 0-day detections and AI can predict the future like Minority Report and save you from yourself.
No, we are still saying patch. Use Intune, use your endpoint manager, use your update rings properly. Yes, that is fundamentally the story. Absolutely, patching. Patching's what's going to save you. So no, we're not putting the reliance in AI. Well, we can talk about AI separately because I'm also with Rod very, very passionate about that. But AI is not going to save you from a 0-day. AI is not going to save you from that CVE from 3 years ago with the CVE 9 with remote code execution that you're exposed to the internet. You're going to get popped. So no, patching's still going to save the day there, definitely.
Very good.
Yeah, smart. And I like how you're along for the journey with the customer hand in hand, right? Like a good trusted partner. That's what I'm hearing this whole time. It's like, okay, we're looking at everything. We're looking at how we can reduce the attack surface. We're looking at how we can increase your security posture. We're also monitoring for events, and we're there when something happens, and we have the ability to respond quickly.
Yeah,
it's a good partnership you've got going on there. I think some people posted some screenshots of the tool itself that you use. I don't know if you have something prepared, not put you on the spot or anything, Drew, but if you had some like images or graphics you wanted to show about it, that would be cool. But if you don't, that's cool too. We'll give people the link.
I didn't have anything prepared for that.
That's okay. No. That's okay. All right. But I think I wanted to take a look at the interface because I think that sounds really interesting. So we'll share what we can find on your site in the show notes so people can check it out.
And we could even have Drew back for a demo or something like that in the near future. Because I think that would be super helpful and super important because from what I know, from what Drew has done with Tiberium and now with the new company, I'm not even going to, I'll hack the name up. Because I get it wrong all the time, just like Laura or Lara. But we can have him back on because, there is some Teams functionality into Sentinel a lot of people just totally forget about. but it's literally just posting things to Teams where other people can see it. There you go.
Yeah, actually, I didn't realize I can share my screen here. So yeah, we've embedded our dashboards directly into Teams. We're aligning to, as I say, that sort of detection around the Microsoft Secure Score. We can drill in to see the specific resources as to why that's dropped. We can actually monitor the detections coming from Sentinel and Defender around statistics that have closed from there, the open incidents that we're working on, what's been automated and what analytics rules we're rolling out, what threat hunting's occurred, when the last threat hunt occurred, what the hypothesis was, what the findings for that were. All of this, as I say, built into Teams. I wasn't prepared to do a demo, but here it is.
Sorry, Drew. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but you're killing it. At least at a high level view, right? It's nice to actually see it visually for those who are watching, to be able to see what you're kind of talking about. Because first time, honestly, I've heard of anyone leveraging Teams as the primary incident response platform. I'm so embedded with the XDR platform, with our SIM platform, that I didn't think about customizing Teams. You're leveraging some Power BI reporting there as well.
Yeah, what I wanted to show, and I haven't got it refreshed here, is actually the channels where we have the adaptive cards coming in, that real-time backwards and forwards between the cyber defenders and the customer to actually build that rapport. So it's living in the channels with the customers that makes the big difference. That backwards and forwards of memes and gifs and likes and loves and sending that, it makes the difference in the service delivery. And who would have thought? It's just shared channels with tabs, with Power BI, adaptive cards, backed up by Power Platform and Logic apps with an automation layer over top. And it really changes the game.
Now, I think the important thing there is that what you all are doing, you are turning Teams into the SIM or SIEM or whatever. A lot of customers, they don't even have to go outside of Teams at that point. It's being powered by all of these other awesome tools that are enabled in the environment. However, Teams is taking the lead for everything. So,
yeah, I think the whole point of it is Teams is a platform. Teams is the service delivery piece. It's where you're doing most of your work. It's where you're opening your documents. It's where you're building stuff. So why are you not also working with your partners, customers, or service providers there? I think the other piece of it is, so we've got the dashboards, we've got the response actions. We're actually building out what we're calling the cyber workbench. And this is where our cyber defenders working in Teams in an app that's built there to do, instead of we used to have it in a Power app. We're now scaling that out to replace that. But that is where our cyber defenders get dynamically added and removed from Teams channels as they get assigned to the customer, and then have automated response actions directly in there as well. So now they're not having to go into Sentinel because they can run their KQL queries from there. They can get the results of the alerts and see the comments from an incident there. They can trigger their playbooks from there to isolate the machine, and they're staying still in Teams for that, for the analyst aspect of it as well. That's coming out in actual V2 of the Ion platform that we're releasing in a couple of months. But again, that's just keeping the cyber defenders in Teams as well. And that's going to drive more automations going forward, drive more decisions with our data science team to actually work out what to automate as well, beyond just logic apps. We're pretty obsessed with Teams.
Well, lowers the barrier of entry for different skill levels of defenders, right? We've had some people on over the course of the last few months to talk about we need to be more inclusive for everyone across their different education and background levels by building it in Teams, a platform that, especially Rod, that everybody loves, and we put the GIFs up all the time, but leveraging all those back-end capabilities and linking it. Now you're removing a lot of training and familiarization levels for people who maybe have not had as much experience on those platforms, and you're making it more front and center, again, right next to that collaboration that you're having. So It's solid. I have not thought of this before today, and I'm impressed. It looks really cool.
I think you'll have a competitive product here shortly. I think you're gonna have to watch out, Drew. Brody's on the case.
That's absolutely fine.
Time to build something.
I hope others copy this. It validates the idea. It validates it as something unique and different. I think you're right there from that skill level point of view, because there's plenty of Sentinel training. There's all the Ninja training. There's all that stuff there. There's the great KQL learning series. There's all that's there. But if we're creating that layer in front of that to simplify with button presses and response actions and enough context from either AI and automation to help either have a decision already made, like a benign positive being closed, or a true positive coming through, and you're just presented with a few options like, do I escalate, do I isolate, or do I close? And here's a few key pieces of information to help you as a human and cyber defender make that decision. It's, again, speeding up that process. We've got some really interesting ideas where we're going to start buddying up cyber defenders, where if one person's really good at phishing investigations or malware investigations, and they're taking X amount of time to close, I just realized my hand's blurry here, X amount of time to close an alert, and someone else takes longer, we can buddy them up to share that knowledge on how to respond quicker for a certain type of alert. And we want to kind of gamify that and build out a little power bar. We've got a whole bunch of ideas. But
cool.
Brody broached the question about, innovation, and I think Ross said a competitive product. But let me ask you this question. How hard do you find it? Are you a trailer of Microsoft technology advancements, or are you even with like Copilot? How does that affect the way you go about the maturation and innovation at your place? Because while you're consuming a product that already exists, you're putting your overlay on it that makes it better for the customer and easier and user friendly. But as Microsoft continues to advance, is there a little bit of trepidation?
People ask us a lot, and in the early days, we found we were ahead of the game from Microsoft, from what we were trying to do with the tools and technology. We were pushing to the limits where we didn't have an API endpoint for what we wanted to do. There wasn't a feature in Teams to share. Teams Connect didn't exist, and we were trying to always push. And we did quite a few internal hackathons where we built out these ideas, and Microsoft supported us on that quite a bit. We were never too concerned about Microsoft coming along and just releasing something and taking over and taking a whole service away and the uniqueness away because of where we were at with it. Copilot, though, is a different story. We had been on, and I had personally been on a journey of building something very similar to that for quite some time. Now, everyone keeps asking us, does Copilot change the game for you, change your roadmap, change your pace of innovation? And the simple answer is, there's two answers to that. One is no, because we're going to embrace it. We're going to use it. We're going to, have our prompt bar with our playbooks, with our prompt collection there to be able to help our cyber defenders. But also we can then leverage the Azure OpenAI service to build out our own pre-tuned models to do our own very interesting stuff with this. So in two ways, it's great that Microsoft's investing in all this impressive stuff, because we embrace that and we help our customers embrace that. But at the same time, it's opening up a whole new field of interesting ideas and things we can do. So the answer is, I guess, no. There's not a concern around all of a sudden being replaced by some crazy new Microsoft feature tool or technology. Because we used to joke in the Tiberian world that we were about 6 months ahead of Microsoft, and then we were 1 month ahead, and then we were 2 weeks ahead, and now we're about 24 hours, and now we're probably on par. But
Right.
You mentioned something I think important to highlight: Azure OpenAI versus the public APIs for all the good stuff. So yeah, that makes me feel more comfortable, and not just because I'm a Microsoft person, but if I was a customer, I'd want to utilize the guardrails that Azure supplies to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially around the information we're providing not being used for the training of future large language models, because who knows what will come in the future around exposures or leaks or anything like that may come from the information you're providing it. As you say, if we've got the guardrails there from the Azure policies, information protection, all of the pieces that come with that, it makes it a much more safer way to integrate with those APIs and endpoints, and that's what we're embracing. But yes, we could talk about a lot of things on the AI side of things. It's been a long journey. I've been involved since GPT-2 and then 3. GPT-3 we integrated with that about 2 years ago, and I just can't believe how far things have come. It is even in the last 3 months. Wow.
It's almost like AI is self-replicating.
Oh, careful.
Something like that.
Careful.
Yes.
Not even close. Wait till you see the attacks that come. I'm already putting in my head poison the well attacks, right? If I can mess up the massive data models, right? In all these data sets, and especially I can prevent, repudiation around it. I got you, right? It's only good as the data going in. I know that's a bad way to think. I'm not looking at the AI, evolution as it's going to do good. I'm looking at how do you break it? How do I get in and I create a catastrophic thing that's going on? Because it is unrealistic to not believe that the bad guys are not using the same technology.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, Drew's company's solution here, it's people, process, and technology, right? It's not just relying on it. They've actually got humans that are double checking it still, right?
You gotta have humans.
You gotta have humans in the cycle, right?
That's exactly it. And there are some companies out there that are all about the 100% AI, the 100% this, remove the human. That's not going to work. AI is a force multiplier. AI is augmenting us. AI is that rapid advancement of AI, of ideas to execution. That's the piece. Having the humans involved is so critical. I think in the future, and I'm just starting to release a few articles about this now. I released the first one yesterday, is the future of even business and innovation, and how much of future startups are going to be co-founded by an idea that came from an AI model. At what point do we have to attribute future business to an AI co-founder? That's going to be coming very soon. And I'm actually releasing an article about that tomorrow. But yeah, it's interesting times, considering you can ask GPT-4 to design an entire solution for you, write the code for you, write all of the LinkedIn articles publicizing it for you, including the post, including generating the code for the SVG logo that produced it, and the diagrams and graphs format to do a whole anything. It's just absolutely crazy. So
it's going to be good. It's going to be good for the world, right? And I'm not one of those people that's a technology futurist, fearful of it. It's going to be good. I think right now it's just annoying that the buzz thing is AI. You should force everybody to say, you have to say artificial intelligence. You can't short it. So in all your stuff, you have to say artificial intelligence. No more AI.
It's called bottom.
I'm down with less acronyms overall. I hear you, Edward.
Nobody's saying CP for Copilot, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, it's because you're not giving anyone access to Copilot yet.
You don't have access? Oh, I'm sorry. You're not in the cool crowd. All right. I'm sorry about that. We'll work on it, Drew.
I don't think anyone is.
Yeah, I think
Question from the channel, if you don't mind, Drew. Like when we talk in big queries in KQL, can teams handle that? Do you have to break out to Sentinel at one point because of performance issues of any kind?
Yeah, so we're not executing queries and KQL queries in teams. We're still leveraging our logic apps to run the queries for us. So we have a set number of use cases. It's about 20 or so, which have a number of logic conditions that flow through, that execute the KQL queries. The results come back. Depending on the result, it makes a decision to run another one. That loop continues until it either closes the alert or escalates to us where it can't deal with it. So the KQL queries aren't being run in teams or the adaptive cards. That's still being executed as logic apps directly in the customer or our multi-tenant Sentinel workspace.
That makes sense. It's a front end. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got you.
And are you running on an ADX Explorer? Or are you running? Well, you don't have to get a secret sauce. Well, I'm thinking about how you call out to be able to run it and then put the thing back. Okay. Yeah.
So we're actually using Storage Explorer for our for some of the queries that the Logic app calls. We've actually migrated all that to Dataverse now. We had used Storage Explorer in the past. It was an interesting way to easily have the query there with all of the keys associated with it. I don't think I'm giving too much away with that one.
Okay. I was just trying to put in my head how you're doing it. So that makes sense. Account Explorer and Data Explorer. Yeah. Because I saw a customer doing something similar and they were doing it. And I'm like, what are you doing with this? And it was a pretty unique case.
Yeah. So the good thing about it is all of this runs in our tenant to cross query into the customer's environment. So the customer's data obviously never leaves their environment, all stays there. We have an automation rule with a webhook that calls back to the Logic app that lives in our tenant to then execute everything on our side. So that's how we protect our IP. That's how we protect our magic of all the automation pieces. So then for our customers, it's really easy. We just put the one little automation rule in, and all of a sudden, a significant number of their alerts are being investigated and closed and dealt with if they're benign positives from the magic that lives in the Ontinue side. So we had to figure that one out a few years ago in the Tiberium days. It was, well, when we were first building this, Azure Lighthouse had only
I was about to say that Lighthouse. Released.
Yeah. And there was no documentation. We had to figure all that out, and that was fun.
There's still hardly any.
At all. And if it's there, it's sparse. And now you have a 365 Lighthouse. I get it. So
we celebrated the first time we got it working. I'll put it that way.
There's a reason for that. Anyway.
Well, you're one of the guys that I mentioned earlier on in the podcast. He's pretty sharp. Paul's pretty sharp, so I got to work with him, and he's good. Right. So, man, this has been good. I know of you, separately because I've heard of Tiberium before, and then definitely I know Open Systems, and then before Open Systems, I knew Born in the Cloud, and then I know Tim. So to now really understand, I'm like, okay, I see what you guys are doing. I'll admit I've not engaged your service as of yet. It's Ontinue definitely is Open Systems. I've had you in a couple of my accounts, so I suspect that the quality of work won't go down. It'll be better, right? It's gonna be good. You guys are pretty sharp in my customers. I've not had any complaints.
Yes, you would hope. Yes.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. Yeah, they're pretty solid. They come in, they get it done.
That's a compliment, Drew. Take that as a compliment from
me. Yeah, man.
Yeah. All right.
I throw partners out of my account.
Get out of here.
I'll pick you up and 86 you. Right out of my account.
Fair enough. You're not good enough. Get out of here.
Oh, yeah, and I'm the nice one on the podcast.
Really?
We'll talk about it. Yeah, I'm the nice one.
Hey, so we have RSA coming up. Mm-hmm. Drew, how can listeners find you at RSA, and what are you doing there other than that super exclusive MISA party?
Yeah, well, we've got a booth this year. So last year was Tiberium. We didn't. We just roamed around and pretended like we did. This year, yes, we have a booth. I don't know the booth number, and I'm going to get in trouble for not being able to say it. But yeah, come stop by the booth. We're very keen to have a conversation about Sentinel cost optimization. So come see a demo. Come see what we're doing. We've got we're just doing demos. We're just showing this off, basically. Showing the power of automation, collaboration, the prevention piece, that cost optimization. Basically come have a chat and we'll show you something very, very cool.
Cost optimization alone is worth the price of an RSA ticket.
Absolutely. Yes, I would love to see how you guys go about consulting on that and making determinations. Andrew wrote an excellent blog post about what log should I bring in and what is the security value about it. And it's people are loving it because it's very subjective. And if you go to a customer, they have no idea. Well, we've always done it this way. You sure we don't need the data? We don't need the logs?
Yeah,
especially
when you're up against what I would call legacy MSSPs. The Splunk uses the ArcSight, uses the Logger, uses the Q radars. That model was just throw everything in, just turn on everything, get it all up and running without the value of detections, without the value for compliance, but without a lot of thinking. You don't need all those these days, all those events, unless you've got a relevant use case, unless you've got some analytics rules associated with it, or it's useful for post-incident breach analysis or something like that. So yeah, the default mode of just turn it all on, those days are done. You've got to think smart about it. Don't just store it all in log analytics. Use the basic log table when you can. Be aware of the impact of KQL with that. Can't have detections, but it's all there. You just got to have that open conversation and just think about it a little bit. So yeah, we like to have those conversations because we want more users and more people adopting Sentinel, and we want to break that recent mindset out there that it's too expensive. It's not if you do it in the right way.
If you do it in the right way, and you got to get customers to trust you to say that this is a journey, and you got to be a consultant, right? Because they're gonna try to impose their knuckle dragging thinking until this evolution in the way SIMs are being powered. They just knuckle draggers and doing this.
Yep.
And they don't want to do the hard work to say, okay, let's go by each log source. When was the last time you used it? When was the last time it was an investigation? Do you actually have any detections written for? When was the last time you hunted against this data set? They don't like those questions, right?
You can see how Edward is a great salesperson as he tells them all they're knuckle draggers.
Yeah, as a snowboarder, I took offense to that. Yeah.
You know what? I'm quiet. You know what? I'm not quiet. One last question.
You're not quiet.
Drew.
One last question.
I think the other piece is actually monitoring that spend beyond just what's in your Sentinel dashboard. So actually asking your service provider, like in this example, what's this peak? What actual log source is that? Why is this Windows event log all of a sudden costing me £1,000 per month? What event IDs can I filter out? And what actual machines are those, or servers are actually doing that, and then apply a more optimized filtering to your connectors. Nice. So yeah, just dropping another demo here, using this as part of the service, working with your service provider to optimize that spend and actually look into it and monitor it. It makes a big difference.
To the other guests that are coming on, that if you next up, or if you're a previous partner, after seeing that demo, you need to get your weight up, because that's pretty slick. A lot of the stuff is it looks like Etch a Sketch that some of these partners are bringing out here, right?
Well,
but that right there was, I like that one, right? The spending piece, to break it very down granular, is like, oh yeah, when you onboarded this server, you checked all logs rather than come in a minimum, right? So that's why you got that spike. Yeah. But I'm telling you, some of the stuff these partners are doing, you need to put more money into the UX UI than you are into the back end secret sauce that you have, right? Because it ain't secret.
But at the end of the day, you can just shake it and it's gone.
You can just shake. And once again, I'm the nice one on the podcast.
Yeah.
Andrew's giving us the hook. We gotta go. Okay,
yeah, we gotta get out of here. Hey, sir, it was a pleasure to meet to make your acquaintance. Tim Wheatley is a friend of mine. If he needs some, he can ping me anytime, Tim. Oddly enough, I'm not pinned to you. You're one of my partners is not pinned to me in my group. I'll ask my manager if I can take on one more partner to work with.
What an honor.
Yeah, well, here we go. Drew, thank you for letting everybody on the podcast show know that Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps is your favorite product.
No. Didn't mention
the noisiest. Yeah.
Well, and have fun at RSA. It's always a good time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's going to be great. So looking forward to seeing anyone who's going to be there.
Oh, and we like swag.
Yeah, bring us back.
Well, yeah, hoodies, t-shirts, all sorts of things could come your way. Yes,
we can get you some addresses. We love swag.
Yeah, it can work. We actually have our own coffee brand. We've got our own Ontinue nonstop SecOps coffee, so we can get that sent out if you like.
Yeah, that's almost good as a security blanket. But yeah, there you go. Well, everyone, thanks to our listeners, our supporters, our partner vendors, and guests for coming on the show. We will continue RSA in NISA month, and I'll let Rod Trent give you the details. Rod, who do we have next?
Next week we have Mark Shavlik with Senserva. That'll be an interesting episode. Mark will be on to explain why he and his company will not be at RSA this year, but they were last year. In fact, Mark will be with me at a different conference at the end of this month. So,
and I believe I know Mark. I made his acquaintance once.
Everybody knows Mark. Shavlik, if you remember Shavlik patching, we talked about patching today as part of some of the discussion. Patch management. Yep, that's that Mark Shavlik. So.
Yeah. I can't name drop because I never really met him. Right? He didn't buy me
everybody. Every episode, I know him.
You got to buy me a beer, then I'll name drop you, right?
Yeah. All right.
So everyone, in my bad French, au revoir. Cheers.
Let's go.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Go Jets. Go Winnipeg Jets. Woo.